Dear friends, this week's Torah portion is Vayechi, the final portion in the first book of the Torah, Genesis. And as always, every week, I want to share with you a thought of something that's relevant to our lives, to carry the message of the weekly Torah portion and live with it and let it permeate your life. And what excites me about this portion is the name of the portion, Vayechi, and he lived, and Jacob lived. We all know that Jacob had a rough life. He was on the run from his brother. He had an uncle who was his father-in-law who conned him right and left every moment that he could. He suffered terribly when his son Joseph went missing for 22 years. Rachel, his wife, one of his wives, is one he was close to, the first love that he had, died young. Jacob had a very, very rough life. But as we come to the finality of his life, the end of his life, Vayechi, all of a sudden Jacob is alive. You think someone who went through so much, and now that they're nearing the end of their life, they look back and they have nothing much what to say. They say, why did I go through so much difficulties? Yes, I have even good things, but it was too hard, it was too difficult. But Jacob did not look at it in that way at all. Vayechi, he was alive. And we find as he prepares himself for passing away, how he gets very busy with what? With wanting to convey his blessings, his feelings, his predictions for the future, to encourage, to motivate, to build up his children and grandchildren, to continue in his ways. And he talks to his children, and within each one, he finds the message for them. He talks to his grandchildren, especially the ones that grew up in Egypt, and make sure that they're in line, and he gives them the direction and guidance of how to continue living their lives. And he takes care of what his future will look like physically, to be buried in Israel and not to wait until the Jews leave Egypt after slavery. This is an incredible sign of what Jacob's life was really all about. As difficult as it was for Jacob, he always emphasized the purpose of what he was there for. And he realized that his life was there to be lived to accomplish something. And he had to leave a legacy. He had to leave a future. And that's what he busied himself with all the time. And therefore we are told, and the Rebbe explains why the name of the portion is Vayechi, though it talks more about death than life, because through these last moments of his life and through the way his children continued to live with the values that he inculcated and he taught them and he showed them by example, this was a true sign that Jacob was really alive, and every moment of life was precious to him and always had to have some meaning and some purpose. And this is so important for every one of us, that we have the biggest gift from God is life itself. We are told, therefore, as one of the 10 Commandments, you have to honor your parents, whether you like them or not, whether they're good people or not, because they give you the gift of life. There's no greater gift that we can have than life itself. And this is the gift God gives us every day, again and again. We wake up in the morning, God had just given us the gift of life. What we do with that life, how we feel that life, what direction it goes, this is in our hands. And we have to learn from Jacob that fill your life with purpose, with meaning. Put in the hard work. Roll with the punches and the challenges that come your way. Don't resist them and don't get afraid. And you will find that your life will equal up to something incredible. Will equal up to something that will become eternal, because it will pass on from you to your children, to your grandchildren. There was no generation gap between Jacob and his grandchildren. They were on the same page. And when Jacob gathered his children around his bedside and he asked them, "Children, are you all with me?" And they answered with the words that has become the most powerful words of the Jewish people throughout our history. Shema Yisrael, Hear O Israel, referring to Jacob, whose name was Israel as well. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. The Lord is our God, the Lord is one. We're all one with God. And Jacob responded, Baruch Shem Kavod Machuso, may the name of his honor and glory and his kingship, L'olam va'ed, be reign forever. Now that I know you're with me, God's name will reign forever. These two verses have become the beginning of the Shema that we say every single day, in the morning and at night, and before we go to bed. Let's continue the legacy of Jacob. Make life full of life. Vayechi, bring life into life. When you are full of life, the atmosphere around you changes. You bring everyone else around you to life. And we all know people we see around us that are full of energy. When we're around them, our energy levels go up. That's the blessing that Jacob really gave us that we all have. So, God bless you. We love you all. Shabbat Shalom. On a Shabbat that we say Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strong, and be strengthened. In the synagogues, Shabbos, after we read the Torah. May God bless us all. And candlelighting time in Montreal, 3:53 p.m. Shabbat Shalom.